So let's close our eyes, and by limiting our sense of seeing the outside world, we reduce away from a world of activity, of doing, of processing, of perceiving, of thoughts and feelings about what can be seen. And with our eyes closed, there seems to be a sinking of attention towards a lone voice. This voice. The way in which we can use this voice and the spaces that mark the use of these words to form sentences and structures and point us to our true nature is to ask ourselves, where is the experience of the voice happening for me? And where is the experience of the voice happening? Ask yourself, am I experiencing the voice at the source of the voice? So is my experience of the voice known at the mouth of the person speaking? Just as if we were looking into the distance, or if we open our eyes for a moment, we can try. If we look at the world of objects or forms in front of us, is the seeing of the objects experienced in the objects or in seeing itself? And with our eyes either opened or closed, is the sound of the voice known at its source or as experience and a movement of experience? The voice and the objects experienced through all of the senses, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, seem to enter the body, but the knowing of the experience, let's use our example once more of this voice, is known in the undivided, unbroken field of experience itself. So we can use the voice to say we are aware of something, we're aware of a voice, and we are aware of the absence of the voice when the current sentence ends. The knowing quality, the experiencing, remains, whether there's a voice or not. Now we can reduce this even further down to awareness. So we are aware of the voice and aware of the absence of the voice. These two movements of experience are not separate from experience, they are seemingly happening in experience. If we look, there is no out of experience. Try and leave experiencing. Because of course, even if we could leave experiencing, we would be experiencing the absence of experiencing. And we can't even do that. So experiencing is undivided. And the awareness, the knowing experience, whether there is a movement in or of or as, whether it is a voice, seeing, smelling, tasting, or whether it is thinking, feeling, imagining, remembering, laughing, suffering, anything with a finite span, a seemingly finite span, an object that we can name, an experience of a thing. The knowing of experiencing itself, that appears to be the background, ever present to the experiencing of things, is ever present and unchanged by movements, in and out, or as, or of. None of these affect awareness and the knowing of experience of awareness. Seeming duality inside the undivided screen of awareness. And here we like to look at being, don't we? So if we sit for a brief moment with an absence of words, of course it isn't really a moment. It's just allowing attention to sink into itself. And we just stay with the nameless experience of being. Being is the name that we attribute to something, a phenomena. So being itself isn't the phenomena, it's the name of something. It's the name of that which we're pointing to. So let's see what the word being points to. Let's experience that which the word points to. Simply being. This formless, peaceful, luminous, yes. It feels so comfortable, so familiar. So safe, so secure. There's a feeling of appreciation, of gratitude, of just, oh, yeah. As we rest as something we've always known, but have skewed with our search to bring about this same knowing in our relationship to objects, possessions, people, places, or the rejection of the same things, different places, different people, other possessions, newer possessions, which beguilingly all bring about temporary states of a relative peace and happiness and calm. Even money brings a passing breeze of a kind of happiness. Hence the allure found in the way in which we relate to objects. Yet here we've turned around and gone the other way, which isn't really a way at all. Notice the allowing nature of being and realizing out of that. And check this for yourself, if anything's needed, that nothing's needed, that nothing need be added, nothing need be taken away from, simply being. And again, use the word being just as the name that points to what we call me, or as I like to say, the space in which the I thought is constantly being referenced by thought, feeling and perception. Reference to memory, plans and programs. One of the difficulties we can encounter is we turn the experience of awareness into a thing, an object that can be attained. And some of us are wise enough to know that we need to subtract away from identification with thoughts, feelings and sensations, memory, perception, the accumulative activities that are the movements of mind, And some of us are wise enough to subtract away from these or sink back, seemingly sink back, but really sink nowhere from these activities. So we sit in meditative sits and reduce our encounters with people, places and things, adopt a comfortable stance and spend time, states, periods and practices not thinking, or at least endeavouring to not identify as a thinker. Realizing soon that the activities of mind are not enduringly who we are not who we are. Because when there is no thought, feeling, sensation or perception, I still am. I am. So we're wise in this. This is great. This is too the first modulation of this expression of reality. And as we deepen, our understanding grows. As we connect and we listen and we use the connectivity and the listening and the language and the lineage, we sink deeper and deeper and begin to knowingly embody the space in which the I thought rises. We move away from the fabricated well that would escape thinking, feeling, sensing and perceiving in order to better be. We sink down away from even that illusory will and way. And realize that what we've been searching for is who we have always been. We realize our divine being. Unseparated from the world of forms, once more, in the realization of one's undivided knowing experience, do we reconcile the world of objects, people, places and things, and as an embodied, realized experience of presence. Although to use the word presence is to objectify and conceptualize somewhat, but let's use the word here as this, that we are rooted in, at the back of all experience, prior to all experience. We become a fragrant offering of the broadest sense of absolute love, capital A, capital L. Just by being, just by breathing. This doesn't render us inept and immovable. In fact, the very opposite. This renders the experience known of being as something almighty, something powerful. And of course, as we go about business, as it spontaneously appears for us, we are being the message that is carrying us, students to the teaching. We ourselves, the teacher. May everything be a teacher. And then at certain times, to carry the message, if we must, we can use words, as we're doing here, to point ourselves, to remind us to once more reduce to that which is essential and away from the finite machinations of daily dancing. The wicked and wild, wonderful waltz of the way. So let's not turn being and thinking, feeling and sensing and perceiving into two distinct objects, one preferable, one less so, to reconcile the apparent duality of that. And the apparent duality is, of course, very real, and we can get captured in the headlights of doing, dazzled. But in reconciling the world of objects and forms with our ever-present, divine, known experience of being, we embody both. Our starting point is one of wholeness. If we said balance, this would propose a duality, a swing to the left, a swing to the right. But here, we're not describing a continuum of left and right, a movement up and a movement down. A universal, unending, uncapturable, fluid, empty, everything. Knowing itself. Love, loving, love. And we can attribute lots of beautiful words and things and ideas. Luminous, fragrant, simple. But we must bring in immeasurable, vast, destructive even, surrendering, collapsing, just as we would the seasons of the year. So movement, there's not really any date, of course, but as the concept of the planet moves inside of love, and we are moved in that movement, we are bound by changing tides of one thing, one great reality, apparently recycling. An ending is the celebration of a beginning. Beginning is constantly happening only because endings are constantly happening. We might like to embrace this idea in the world of forms. Yet here we are pointing to that which is unending, that which is essential in nature, the essential nature of direct knowing experience. That I, or that me, that has for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years woke up, done a day, eaten, fallen asleep, woke up, experienced another day, another week, another month, year, decade. I have always been here. I haven't been anywhere else. When you are here, I am. When I experience you, I'm experiencing myself. I am. And the relative I am is the movement of the life with a small l, marvelous and majestic and magical, mountainous and murderous. And the I am is the life with a capital L, ever present, never absent. Here, with no knowledge of there. Yes, and thank you.